Welcome to episode number 120 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, and public relations professionals. We're recording live Google Hangouts on air on November 15, 2015, just several days removed from the Paris attacks, terrorist attacks in Paris. Horrible, horrible event. We will have some instances of how social media played a role in the aftermath of those terrorist attacks later in the show. But of course, we start off always with the worst communication stories that happened during the past week. And BL always has the honors. So BL, what was the worst story of the week?
Well, I was appalled when I saw the Bloomingdale's catalog that contains a page that has a picture of a young woman and a young man, and she's sort of looking off to the side, and he's kind of leering at her. And the content says, "Spike your best friend's eggnog when they're not looking." And excuse me, but so my tweet about that was, WTF, Bloomingdale's. I bet date rape victims will have an opinion about this ad. Well, yeah, 3,200 did, you know. And my favorite tweet about the whole thing is that it came from Alex Bowman, who tweets as a bow like yo. And he said, "It disgusts me that the lack of decoration on Starbucks cups has caused a bigger uproar than this Bloomingdale's ad." And Bloomingdale's apologized, but so what? The promo is in catalogs that they mailed to millions of people. They can't take it back. I hope they fired their agency and their entire marketing department, but I bet they didn't.
Wow. I mean, again, you know, I mean, just who approved this? How did this, you know, I mean, it's like,
we have one of these every week.
Wasn't it obvious? Yep.
Yeah. I mean, what were you thinking? Yep. And then, of course, this became a meme. And the worst one was they took the young man out and they put in Bill Cosby.
Of course. Another obvious.
So, have you got a bad one for us, Dave?
I do. This is something that's been annoying me for a while. The phrase "content shock," and it was, of course, a term coined by Mark Schaefer. And the essential argument for it is that as more and more people create more and more content, the value of content marketing only makes sense for those with the deepest pockets. I kind of think that's BS, but it's got a certain logic to it, right? So I came across a blog post by Eli Fennell, or Fennell. I don't know how to pronounce the last name, but Eli has written a blog post called "The Myth of Content Shock," and in it he sort of takes an examination of this idea of content shock and pulls it apart. My whole thing is, quality. Sure, there's a lot of content. There's more and more content, but it's not like we've never seen people inundated with information before everybody started doing content marketing before. Quality, purposeful content coupled with sound marketing is going to succeed if you're good enough to do it. So does it fit within the overall marketing strategy? Does it accomplishing specific goals? Does it create visibility, awareness, education, conversion, a whole variety of things? As long as your content, you have a purpose for your content, and you've got sound marketing strategy around it, you can succeed doing it. So Fennell lists 5 hallmarks of excellent content. It's a very lengthy blog post that's very worth the time to read. Among the 5 hallmarks he lists are: shows deep topical authority, offers real value, expresses something unique, has a unique and distinctive style, and is authentic. And those are great hallmarks for excellent content that everybody should be thinking about when they're creating content. But we'll put a link in the show notes to his blog post and encourage everybody to read it. It's a great read.
I look forward to reading that. That's an interesting point. You have to take a look at the kind of content that corporations share and the kind of content that people share with their friends, and it's vastly different. And if you share the kind of content that people are going to want to say to their friend, "Oh, you might like to read this," or that's going to always come up on top. But I must point out that Dave is ready to jump out the door to the Vikings game, and he's already dressed in his Vikings shirt and his Vikings hat because he's going to a Minnesota Vikings game out there in Minnesota, and I just love that.
Well, it's not exactly going to the game. The Vikings are playing right now, so these are the sacrifices that I make for this podcast.
Oh my God, I didn't know you had done that. You're missing part of a Vikings game? Oh my God.
I'm wearing my lucky jersey and my hat, and so once the podcast's over, I'm going to immediately leave and watch the rest of the game so that I don't jinx them, because they're 6-2 right now, and if they win today's game, they will be at the top of their division. So
maybe we shouldn't talk about it. It'll jinx them.
It's been a long time for Vikings fans, so this is pretty exciting.
Okay, well, the other thing that I have in the worst category this week was Bob Dole, who most people thought had died, endorsed Jeb Bush for president, and it trended on Twitter. And besides the many, many tweets saying that really he's still alive, Michael Blackman, who's a comedian who I often find offensive, but in this case I found funny, says, experts say if Bob Dole trending lasts longer than 4 hours, seek medical attention. You all remember that he was the spokesperson for Viagra
when he was a presidential candidate. He was easy to make fun of back then. I kind of wish he was in leadership now, because he was a bit more reasonable than some of the guys that we've got him today. So. Oh
my God, can't even go there. But along those lines, I mean, they are getting weirder and weirder on the GOP side. There was an article in Huffington Post by Scott Conroy, and I just have to say, I often wish that we had the thing that they must have on newscasts where somebody tells you how to pronounce people's names. I mean, Scott Conroy is really clear, but we butcher so many names, and I feel bad about it. But anyway, on Monday, Jeb Bush was trending, not because of anything political, but because he made a remark that he definitely would have killed baby Hitler, which happened to be a topic that was trending about a month ago. And he told Scott Conroy, yeah, man, you got to step up. And the other thing that happened was, like, Ben Carson's nose grew bigger every day as his profile lies and delusions grew. And Bob Garfield nailed him in his column in Media Post, and really hilarious. You really must read the Bob Garfield column. And by the way, Bob used to write for Ad Age. Now he's writing for Media Post. He's a reporter at large or editor at large or something, but he's always hilarious and always poignant. So, definitely want to take a look at that. But, every day they get weirder. They just get weirder. I don't even want to talk about Trump. I'm not talking about him.
Well, as Hunter S. Thompson once famously said, when the going gets tough, the weird turn pro.
You said so many great things. Well, that's all the bad news I have. You have more?
I do not. Let's go on to the good stuff.
Okay.
Well, this is sort of, this is tail spinning from the bad news that we mentioned, the ParisAttacks, but this is some of the positive things that came out of that regarding social media. So this is a collection of the things of the role that social media played in the aftermath of the ParisAttacks. The first one is a Facebook safety check-in feature, and this is from a Recode article by Kurt Wagner. Now, Facebook activated its safety check-in feature on Friday afternoon, just hours after the attacks in Paris. This was a feature that was rolled out a year ago, and to date, it's only been activated for natural disasters. 5 times in 2015, it was used in the wake of natural disasters, including the Nepal earthquakes in April and the Chilean earthquake in September. This is the first time it's ever been activated for a terrorist attack. It uses geolocation information to identify who lives or is traveling nearby a disaster area, and then ask those people if they want to check in on Facebook to alert their friends and family that they're safe. The algorithm promotes those check-ins to the top of the feed. I saw a couple of friends that I did not know were in Paris had checked in and said they were safe. So it definitely works. So that's one very, it's almost a utility. It's like the Amber Alerts kind of thing, where everybody gets notified of that. So great instance of social media.
Tens of thousands of people had used it within a couple of hours, but kudos to them, because they got it online within an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. And so another thing was Twitter. So two instances of how Twitter was used in wake of the Paris attacks. The hashtag, I'm going to butcher this. This is a foreign language, and it's French.
Port Ouvert.
And I'm an American saying a French word. Port Ouvert. This is from a Wired article by Molly McHugh. And so the Porte-Vert hashtag roughly translates into open doors. And Parisians were using the hashtag on Twitter to signal that they needed a safe place to go, or that they could provide a place for people on the street. So in the immediate aftermath of the attacks, people were tweeting using this hashtag to notify people who were running from the attacks that they had a safe place to go, that they could come. And so most of the messages were interpreted as, I'm home in this area, contact me if you need a place to go. Another hashtag that has been used is Réchiré Paris hashtag, and I know I butchered that. And that is French for sought out with care. And it is a hashtag that people are using to post photos of their missing loved ones. So it's the virtual equivalent of the fence at Ground Zero that people posted photos to and missing after the 9/11 attacks. So that's another. It's heartbreaking, but extremely useful, right? Then YouTube has been promoting the France 24 English language channel on their homepage, and that's video coverage from France 24, live video stream
in English.
So, in English, yep. And then Periscope, we saw videos from the soccer match for the first explosion or the second explosion during the soccer match, and then the fans going out of the stadium singing the French national anthem. Very, very moving and touching there. And then the social media has, if you think about the last 9/11, we didn't have all these tools at our disposal for communication. Now we have immediate, global, in-depth, and rich understanding of an event that practically as it happens. The downside is it does serve the terrorist needs. People are more capable of seeing these terrifying images, and that's exactly what they want to do, is terrify people. So,
well, and the other side of it is that, besides Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, there's the dark internet, and there is the messages that disappear after a few minutes. And, in my opinion, Dave, you have to mute. In my opinion, what will happen now is that we're going to lose some of our very basic liberties, because the governments will say, we need to be able to know what people are saying and doing. And on the one hand, yeah, I suppose they do. But I mean, in my heart of hearts, I think this could be the start of World War III, and that scares me.
Well, it could very well already be. I mean, it may have already started, because it's a different kind of warfare. So, another thing that I saw, turning to a more more optimistic message, is there's a guy named Hank Green who put together a blog post and especially a video that explains something that we've been talking about this podcast for a long time, is Facebook and Facebook video, and how they're sort of doing sleight of hand or not being entirely transparent about how they're dealing with video. So he put together this 5-minute video. Hank Green, by the way, makes YouTube videos for a living on channels like SciShow, Crash Course, and Vlog Brothers. And he's created this superb 5-minute explainer video that talks about Facebook's algorithm and how it favors videos that are uploaded directly to Facebook versus links to YouTube videos and video vines when you share those through Facebook. And so you're going to see more Facebook videos that were uploaded directly to Facebook rather than the same videos if they're shared through a link from YouTube. And then Facebook's ridiculous video view metrics, where they count as a view of a video 3 seconds if you're scrolling past it in your Facebook feed. They count that as a view. So that's ridiculous. But we've talked about that before. And the other thing we've talked about, you've ranted about before, is Facebook freebooting, where there are channels on Facebook pages that have grown enormously and are entirely, all they're doing is downloading popular videos from YouTube and uploading them to Facebook and taking advantage of other people's creations.
And the creators can't search Facebook for their content, and so by the time they find out that it's there, they could have lost thousands and thousands of dollars, because there are people who make millions of dollars on the basis of their Facebook of their YouTube views. So,
yep, and it's Facebook's entire interest to not do anything about that, right?
Exactly.
And so this video that Hank Green created entertainingly goes through all those points and makes all those points wonderfully. The video clearly has taken on. It's got 1.7 million views so far on YouTube. So check that out. We'll put a link in the show notes to that.
So there was a great big brouhaha that is going on about Can you mute, please, Dave? That goes on about Starbucks red cup not having stars on it, and you know, all the things that that Ellen did a very hilarious video about, you know, how the stars were certainly in the Bible as a symbol of Christmas, and how could they not be on the cup? But anyway, all this fracas is going on the right-wing side of things and the evangelical Christian side of things, none of whom have obviously walked past any Starbucks store, because every single one of them has Christmas decorations in the window. But anyway, while all that was going on, Starbucks was doing the thing that they do really, really well, which was good for people. And Starbucks announced, I tell you, if Howard Schultz ran for president, I would volunteer to handle his communications. He wouldn't even have to pay me. I hope you're listening. But they announced that they're going to pay tuition for their veteran employees and their families. And this was Mika Solomon in Forbes, and they announced that they've already hired 5,500 of the 10,000 that they promised to hire veterans and their spouses by 2018. They're more than halfway there. And then in time for Valentine's Day, while the right-wing jerks were whining about the red cups, they announced that they were going to provide free college to all the veteran employees and their families. And, you know, I would join Howard Schultz's team in a heartbeat, because they do absolutely progressive, interesting. They put their money where their mouth is. They do the right thing. And, you know, who cares what's on the cup? But, you know, where's the blue cup? Hanukkah's coming.
Well, I mean, not only is that a good thing to do, it's a smart business decision.
Of course,
investing in your people creates both loyalty among employees, so they're likely to stay with you longer, and you don't have to find somebody else and invest in all the retraining you're going to have to do for that lost employee. And they're going to have additional skills and additional knowledge. They're going to be able to contribute to your company. So it is a smart business decision. Not too many people do it. I will say, last Friday when I went to my Starbucks, I was inundated with the sound of Christmas carols playing when I got my red cup that didn't have any decorations on it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you know, what a stupid thing to worry about. Like, people who are worried about the decorations on a cup ought to get a life. You know, people are being murdered. You know, I mean, the stuff that goes on in the world, this is the least important thing that could possibly happen. And in the meantime, you have a company that does an awful lot of good in the world. So, you know, oh, shut up, you whiners.
I have one last best thing this is pretty cool, and I wasn't able to find additional information on it, but I did find it through Twitter Moments, and the Foo Fighters have crowdsourced their concert posters. So they have solicited artists to create concert posters for each of the venues that they are playing at for their international tour, and this Twitter Moments has a collection of the best of them within it, and they're just fantastic. They're artistically amazing, and it harkens back, for my memories, to the 60s and 70s, not the 60s for me, but the 70s, when artistic concert photos and even tickets were routinely artistic, routinely had decorations, had beautiful illustrations on them, and you don't get that anymore. So to see this is just great, and it's a smart move by Foo Fighters to do a lot of really cool marketing stuff. But also, what do the Foo Fighters have? They have a huge following. They've got a platform to give other people publicity. And so what do they get in exchange for that publicity? All this great marketing that other people are doing for them. So I think it's a win-win situation, and it's very smart of them to leverage that platform that they have.
And talk about content that people will want to share. That's what people will want to share. Stuff they care about. So the New York Lottery has a campaign that I thought was pretty amusing. I got this from Amy Core in Media Post, and there's a campaign called "You'd Make a Way Better Rich Person," and it highlights the fact that New York Lotto has made millionaires out of more New Yorkers than any other in-state game, but it also pokes fun at eccentric wealthy people and the obscene ways they spend their money. So in one ad, there's a New York man who spends millions on his collection of dead framed bats. And there's another millionaire, you got to mute Dave, there's another millionaire who spends $28,000 a week on wine to bathe in. And, if the cork falls into the tub, he spills it all out and starts again. And then there's this woman who pays some crazy amount of money to be a pet whisperer. And so they have a website with a rich people's guide, and it's where those of us in the 99% can identify every type of rich person. So when you take a look at it, look at the art collecting conversation controller and the Aristodac and the former tech star, and there's like a quiz, which one would you be? And it's really very entertaining. So, do you have another?
I do not. I'm done with my best stuff.
Okay, well, Facebook launched a very interesting 360 video learning site that I saw on Facebook's media blog post, and it's a microsite, and it deals with creating 360 video for Facebook, and it has a lot of resources and information and uploading guidelines and frequently asked questions, and they're starting now to test 360 video in advertising in AT&T, Nescafe, the Ritz, Samsung, Disney World are all doing 360 ads, and they're going to keep testing this format. And it's an exciting creative opportunity for marketers that lets them tell really interesting immersive stories, and it is optimized for mobile devices. But I think that what Facebook is doing, where they're expecting you to use an Oculus, how do you say it, an Oculus headset, is kind of silly because those are expensive, where you can buy the Google one for, what was it, $6. And so Mark Zuckerberg said this week that the adoption of 360 video and of virtual reality in general is going to be slow, and that's one of the reasons. Oculus Rift, what is that, a $300 headset, and they keep changing it, so you buy it and it's outdated before you learn how to use it. So I think there's a way to go there, but it's interesting that it's starting, and we'll look back and say, wow, this started, and look how fast it grew.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, though, the two different approaches that Google and Facebook are taking towards virtual reality. And Facebook obviously has an investment in Oculus Rift. The headsets themselves are expensive, but you also, in order to make it work, you need hardware that can handle, it's like a high-end gaming machine to make it really fly. And Google's really trying to make it
accessible.
Mobile.
And
and so the least you need to see it is where Google's aiming at, and so if they can make that work on the phone itself, then all the more power to them. And Facebook's strategic interest is keeping you on Facebook. Google's strategic interest is making you watch more content so they can sell ads across it, right? So it's interesting how that'll shake out. Are you getting any more good stuff?
Well, I did, but I forgot to put it in here, so I can't talk to you about it. But I do have an app that just knocks me out. It's on Kickstarter, and it's the Kitchen Mealworm Farm. I will buy one of these when I grow a beak and feathers, but according to Live-In Farms, which is the name of it, the taste of mealworms is really quite neutral and slightly nutty. And yeah, nutty would be a good descriptor. And you can use them in a variety of ways, such as for crispy snacks or as a mealworm burger patty. And there's a video that provides recipes and suggestions and tips and help, and a place where users can share their experience. So what this is, it's sort of like a stack of drawers, and in one, and you have to feed the mealworms, which I don't know, to me, the idea of creepy crawly things in my kitchen is like so repulsive that I really can't even watch the video. But you feed them, and then you kill them humanely by putting them in the freezer, and then you take them out and you cook them or throw them in your salad or whatever the hell you do with them. I will never find out. But it's a mere $449.
They're encouraging you to grow mealworms to put in your salad?
To eat. Well, you can make them into all kinds of things.
That's disgusting.
Hamburgers, mealworm hamburgers. Yeah, it is disgusting.
I don't agree with that at all.
Well, I'm not eating bugs. That's all there is to it. I don't do bugs.
So these are what I have for the shiny new stuff is that they're not disgusting at all.
Great, I'm glad.
At all. So Tumblr has gotten instant messaging. So they've added that feature onto their mobile app. So that's pretty interesting. And interesting where mobile instant messaging is kind of the dark social that you were mentioning before, that's out of sight of the public, but there's a lot of communications happening in those channels. YouTube has launched its music app, which is basically YouTube's Pandora, and it's awesome. It just sort of plays whatever and makes recommendations for you based on your own behavior on YouTube, the music that you listen to on YouTube. So it's pretty cool. And the last one, and I don't have this in the show notes, but I'll have to find it because I just recalled it and forgot to put it in the show notes. But there is a Kickstarter campaign to revive Mystery Science Theater 3000. And if you are not familiar with MS3K 3000, Mystery Science Theater 3000 was started in the Twin Cities. It was a cult hit TV show where they would take B movies, like B science fiction movies, or B movies, or C movies, or D movies, or whatever, really bad science fiction movies, and superimpose it with a robot and a guy and somebody else in front of the screen making snide comments throughout the movie about the movie.
Oh,
and it was
that's
just
hilarious.
It was absolutely hilarious. They started this Kickstarter campaign to revive it, and they've already way surpassed their goal, but I hope it happens because that was an awesome show.
I hope they do it with the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which is my all-time favorite horrible science fiction movie.
I think they probably have done that already. But if you search YouTube for Mystery Science Theater 3000, you'll definitely come across some episodes.
I'm a little confused about Google Music and Google Play Music, which I'm doing. Like, I'm doing a free trial of Google Play Music, but there's Google Play Music, there's Google Music Play, and there's YouTube Red, which I think comes with Google. Can you explain this to us, please?
Yeah, so there's Google Music, which is part of the Play Store. So you can buy music from Google through the Play Store. But Google Music originally started out is you could upload your own library to your Google Music account and stream and have access to that anywhere through streaming.
But you have to pay.
But it morphed into a streaming service that competes with Pandora, or not Pandora. It competes with Pandora and Spotify mostly. So you pay $9.99 a month or whatever for access to the entire library of Google Play, and I have it, and it's awesome.
Oh, it is awesome! It's got everything you can imagine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now YouTube Red is part of that service. So when you get YouTube Red, you get Google Music. When you buy Google Music, you get YouTube Red. It's the same thing. So now you have access to all the music on YouTube as well. Okay,
so the one that I have is called Google Play Music. That's different.
That's Google Music. It's the same thing.
It is?
They added Play recently, apparently.
But it doesn't say anything about it looks like YouTube Red is a separate subscription.
Well, if you're buying YouTube Play, Google Music, Google Play Music, or whatever they want to call it now, go to YouTube and see if there's no ads there, and you've got YouTube Red. But you may not get it until you actually start paying for it if you're in the trial.
Which I'm actually not sure I want to do. But anyway, it is awesome, and it has like every kind of music you can imagine. The more obscure you can think of, it's there, and you get to share with other people. It really is very cool because they got like music that I love. Yeah. So I believe that brings us to the end of this episode. Is that correct?
Daily numbers. Let me wrap it up with the daily numbers.
Yes.
So for the numbers, we've got most effective and difficult types of video content. And this is based on the survey of mostly B2B respondents. 78% of the respondents made up B2B. So top amongst the most effective videos are customer testimonials. 51% say that, but 42% say they're also the most difficult. Explainer or tutorial videos are 50% say they're the most effective, and 29% say they're the most difficult. Demonstration videos, 49% say they're most effective, 26% say they're most difficult. Thought leader interviews, 35% most effective, 29% most difficult, and I don't even know why that's difficult, but whatever. Project reviews, case studies, 26% say they're most effective, 41% say they're most difficult. I understand that because you got to assemble a bunch of different things to put together a really good video case study. It's not just shooting an interview with somebody, right? You're probably shooting an interview with somebody, including some stats, including different types of content. So that makes sense there. Webinar videos, 23% say they're most effective, 19% say they're most difficult. Vlogs, video blogs, 15% most effective, 13% most difficult. Event videos, 13% most effective, 21% most difficult. And again, there's a bunch of different components that go into event videos too, so I can see why people would think they're a little bit difficult, but there you go.
Who are they surveying?
B2B, mostly B2B executives and marketers.
Yeah, I kind of think those are the people who would be the least likely to know what was most effective. And
I disagree completely.
Really?
Yes, I think the standards for marketing for B2B are much more stringent, much more measured. People want to know what the ROI. B2B marketers want to know what the ROI is, and consumer marketers are like, "Oh, this sounds cool. Let's just do it."
testimonial videos, everyone knows that you're not going to get the person who hates you to do a testimonial. So in my opinion, testimonial videos are complete bullshit. I mean, how could you call those the most effective when everybody knows that it's only people who like you?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Logic has no place in it. It's emotion. It's okay, there's a person talking about how great it is, so it's more trustworthy.
Well, we could argue about this forever, but you have to go to the Vikings game.
I do. What are you kidding me? Let me wrap this up. Thanks for watching episode 120 of the Beyond Social Media show. We have links to all of the stuff that we talked about in the blog post shortly after the show. You can see that at beyondsocialmediashow.com/120. Let us know what you think of the show by leaving us a review at beyondsocialmediashow.com/love. And you can find our Stitcher page and our iTunes page, and soon you'll be able to find our Google Play page there when that goes live. So you can find a place to review us there, and we'd love it to hear your feedback. You find me on Twitter at @DErickson. My blog is e-strategyblog.com. I also blog at my agency's blog at creativepr.com/blog. You can find BL at What's Next on Twitter. Her blog is whatsnextblog.com. She also writes for Ad Age, and she is the leader of maximum-plus.com, where you can hire her for video marketing and online event services. The show you can find at beyondsocialmediashow.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Every week you will get you'll get the latest show. You'll get links to what we talked about. You get exclusive content that you won't get anywhere else. beyondsocialmediashow.com/newsletter is where you can subscribe, and then follow us on Twitter at BS Media Show. Until next week, thanks for watching.
And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. See you next week, same time, same station. Have fun at the game, Dave.
Thanks.